Hey, what's up, guys? Here on the Fire Sports Pod. We got day 2 of a podcast here today. Season 8, episode 1 continued. We're here with my good family member, Eric. Appreciate him coming on, joining us on the podcast. Going to talk about the Florida Panthers. As you can see, he's wearing the Florida Panthers hat, repping it proud. They didn't get the first win in game 1. But hopefully tonight they can get game 2. And that's what we'll be starting off our podcast with, talking about your Florida Panthers and just to how I think the NHL playoffs in general was fantastic this year. I think it was even better than last year. And last year I thought we had really good games. So what were your thoughts on the Panthers in game 1? And can they pull this because I don't think it's an upset. I think they're very even.
I tell you, they're both really evenly matched teams. I mean, it's cool to watch. I mean, it's if anybody is a fan of hockey, or even if you're not, I recommend to watch it because you're seeing some of the best hockey players in the world playing each other. It's really cool. And I think, the Panthers, they could do it, but Edmonton is just as good. I think my camera froze up a little bit.
Yeah, it's okay.
Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, yeah. But it looks like my image froze up. I don't know how to undo that, but let me see. I don't know. It looks like I froze up there.
Wow, you good?
Is that my internet on my side? Might be.
It might be because you're frozen on my screen as well.
Oh, really? But you can hear me though, right?
Yeah, I can hear you. You're good.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, so hopefully I got the image there with my mouth open, but hopefully that unfreezes soon. Who knows? But it's interesting because those two teams are so, like, you kind of almost don't want. I mean, I'm a Florida Panther fan forever since the team franchise started. I've been living in Florida for a long time, and it's just when teams are that good, you almost don't want somebody to lose. Edmonton is so good. This is their second year coming back too. And they lost in game 7 to the Panthers last year, and it was really close. But I think, I think the Panthers could do it. They were up. If you saw the game, Edmonton scored quickly. I think within the first 20 seconds, they scored the goal. Then the Panthers scored, and then they scored again, and then again. So it was 3-1. And then I think in the second period, Edmonton scored 3-2, and then they scored another one in the third, and then it went into overtime, and then, of course, Edmonton won. But you saw how, Edmonton was able to come back like that. And a lot of it has to do with, of course, the coaches. We talked about this last year, the coaches picking the right lines. And then they always, Edmonton has the wild card of Connor McDavid, the best skater on ice. So they're never really out of it with that guy there. So, that's where it's at, I think. I think the defense, you got to text me, I think the Panthers maybe have a little better defense. I'm sorry that my screen froze. But, yeah, I think to say you agree with that?
Yeah, I would. I think they have the better defense.
Some guys like Rodriguez and Kachuk and Barkov, they play such good defense and old school defense. If you watch how they they check people and they're always, after the puck, they make it very difficult for other teams to control the puck for a long time. So that's what I think their strengths are. Their strengths are that they could really play great defense and keep the puck away from you for a long time. And that's the Panthers' strength. And I think Edmonton's strength is speed. Speed and great passing. Right? They pass to each other so cool, so great. I'm like watching Edmonton pass. I'm like, Jesus Christ, these guys are fantastic. It's two great teams. It really is. That's why they both went to the finals again.
Yeah. I was not expecting them to go back to back. I figured that maybe somebody different. I actually had it. I think I had it. I had the Oilers in it again, but I had the Capitals in the Stanley Cup, and they were going to win it. No, I had Winnipeg. I have Winnipeg in the Winnipeg. Yeah, and they kind of sold me short again. They did it last year, and they did it this year again. So, but yeah, no, I definitely did not have this matchup, but I'm glad that the Panthers are back. But I'm gonna have to go as a series. I think this series still goes to 7 games. But I'm
Yeah.
actually going to say that I think I don't think the Panthers get the win this time, because this time it would be in Edmonton. The last time was in Florida.
Yeah.
So I think
I
if
don't
it's
know.
the game 7, I think the Oilers could take it. It just really depends on if the Florida Panthers can stay consistent with defense, which I know they can. It's the fact that
Yeah.
can they
I
stop
think
Connor.
a big tell tonight's game and Sunday night's game will tell a lot. Like
Yeah.
you know, I think that'll tell a lot. Like if Florida just like dominates and crushes them, then you say, oh, you know, because Florida is that type of team where, you know, I mean, you saw what they did last series. I mean, there was a few games. One game was like 6-1. A few games were like 6-1, 6-2. I mean, they could throw a lot of, you know, and that's another thing too. If you watch Panthers, there's a lot of shots on goal.
There is.
Like there's a lot. Like there's always 20 plus. You know, so that other goaltender, he's always like, oh God, Jesus Christ. You know, they're always firing pucks like mad. So it's going to be interesting. It's a great series, and you know, I think if the Panthers win, then you know they're like a dynasty team, really. If they, I think only 9 teams have ever won back to back, right? So something like that.
I believe something around that. 9 or 10 teams have only won, but in the NHL history, which has been around for a long, long time, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Only back to back.
Yeah, it's hard to get there. It really is.
It is.
You could have, and we talked about this last year too. A lot of it's about the lines and people being healthy and picking the right lines. Like sometimes, you know, like you pick the lines and then one night it works, and then the next day you put those same guys out there and it doesn't work. So
exactly,
hockey stuff, like it's hard to repeat. You know,
you can
I wish I could clear my. Huh?
You can ask the Devils.
I wish there was a way I could. Oh yeah, I know. I wish there was a way I could refresh my screen to like stop that image.
I think you can. What you can do is you can just hit the refresh button on your tab. You'll cut out, but then you'll come back in, and then I'll see you in the bottom.
Where's that refresh? Settings?
On the left, no, left side of your computer. You'll see a reload this page on the search bar on the left side of your computer.
I think I made the screen too big, so exit full screen. And then reload this page.
Yeah. So, guys, Erick will be right back. We'll get some technical difficulties, but he should be back and ready to roll.
There you go.
And yes, he's back.
Hey. I did it. Yeah,
that was fun.
I refreshed the screen. Yeah.
For like 7 minutes, your screen was like this.
I know.
That's fun.
You saw like my bottom teeth, like. Okay.
But back to what we were saying about the Devils. It really is about who truly stays healthy. I think that's with all sports teams. It really is all about health and consistency.
Yeah, it really. Yeah. Now you froze up on my side. It's probably my computer.
It's all good. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, but it's all about who stays healthy. It's the lines. It's and then they have Edmonton has that wild card too. Like you saw what happened. Well, McDavid he's just such a great player, and so a lot of times you got to double team him. And, if he gets past you, it's like, he's a great passer too.
His IQ is ridiculous.
Yeah. He's great. He's I think clocked as the fastest skater in the NHL right now.
Right? I think he's the best player. I'd say I put him as the best player in the NHL. I know he's not American, but still, you can't.
Yeah, he's fantastic. He's phenomenal.
Yeah. Quick question: what would you have? What would you rank the top 5 best players in NHL right now? If you had to go the 5.
Well, of course, everybody's one of the best players I've seen while I was younger was Wayne Gretzky. Of course, you had Gretzky. He was just phenomenon. And then you had some older players too. The Rangers had some great players back in the day. So did the Flyers. In the 70s, the Flyers had some great players. Sidney Crosby is another recent guy who at one time, I think for a good 4 or 5 years, was probably the best player in the NHL.
Yeah. What about Ovechkin? I wanted to see your
Ovechkin too. Ovechkin.
No, but Ovechkin, you put him over Gretzky because he has the thing, or never. He is never over Gretzky.
I don't know, because Gretzky was like a really different type of player. Like Gretzky, he had one thing that was so, why he has so many goals is that he had this unique ability to just get open and find shots. Like he would just make his own shots. He was a very unique player. Where Ovechkin is awesome too. And Ovechkin, if you see Ovechkin, it's usually in the same spot. Like he circles in the same area and he fires his goals usually from that same area. I think he even calls it like his office. And like he has like that right area there where he just kind of, most of his goals come from right there. Like you get him the puck in that area and he just fires it in. And he's more like a big guy, where Gretzky was more like finesse kind of, like he was fast skater. And yeah, I would say probably Crosby, Ovechkin, and Gretzky, probably those three. Maybe they're probably the best. You had some like guys back in the day, like, that didn't play with helmets. Like, was it Bobby Orr? There were some guys like, that before my time that they say were even, phenomenal also. They play without helmets, and those guys were phenomenal too. That was crazy, all in that era when those guys play without helmets. But, you've had some great players, Even, I forgot the one player. There was a player who played for the Detroit Red Wings when they won like 2 in a row, and that guy was really good too. I forgot his name. It was less than there was a guy in that team. I can't remember his name, but he was pretty awesome too. I would have to look him up, but he was on those Detroit Red Wing teams. I think they went 3 times in a row, and they won 2 also back then. Was that in the 90s?
Yeah, I believe so. 90s or late 80s, something around those lines.
Yeah, they had a player too that was a beast also. But I don't think anybody's as good as maybe Gretzky and Ovechkin.
I don't think Sidney is as good as they are. I would probably put Gretzky.
Well, he had some injuries too, but he's probably not in that category. You're right, but he's still pretty good. I mean, there was a good 3-4 years where he was just like phenomenal. And then I think he started having like knee problems. Like one of his knees started having issues. He got injured one time, and then I think when he got injured, I don't know if he came back as his burst wasn't like it was.
Gotcha.
These guys, I tell you what, these guys are phenomenal athletes. We talked about this last time too.
Yeah, the athletes.
They are phenomenal athletes. They hockey players are those guys. They get it. They are well conditioned. They have to train. Well conditioned athletes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people realize what great athletes. Yeah.
They're on skates.
No, I'm a big NHL fan. I always have been, and since I came down to Florida, I've been a Panther fan. When I left Jersey, I was a Devils fan, and they had some good teams in the '90s too. I think they won in '96. They had a great team.
Yeah, it's been
'96 or '95. I think they won.
I think Stanley Cup, the same as the Cowboys, where we haven't won since.
Well, yeah. Yeah, the Cowboys. Well, we'll get to that, but the Cowboys are being a Cowboy fan is not easy.
Yeah, I know.
I'm a big Cowboy fan.
But actually,
we haven't won since '96.
Yeah, 95, 96. That was the last time we ever went to a Super Bowl or an NFC Championship or won a damn thing. But it's funny as you ask. We are going to be transitioning to the Cowboys now.
All right.
I am not stoked for this season. I know we got George Pickens, which was a pretty good signing.
Yeah. I'm not either. Yeah.
I'm not. I don't like.
Well, I think they're going to stick with Dak, right?
Yeah.
Right. They're going to stick with Dak, right?
Yeah, they're going to stick with Dak. I would assume, unless they.
And I think when they stick with Dak, it's that's you're going to get the same thing. I know they gave him that big contract, so they're going to honor it. But he's got weapons. He's got CeeDee Lamb. He's got some other great receivers. I think they just picked up another good receiver.
Yeah, they got George Pickens from Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they picked up Pickens, and it's like you got those weapons, and he's just. I don't know. I've seen him decline. In my opinion, since he got that big contract, he's declined.
I would agree.
He throws a lot of picks.
Yeah.
Yeah. He throws a lot of picks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not the best for the Cowboys.
yeah.
And then not to
And you
mention
know
coach.
what the thing is with him, great players. If you ever notice the great quarterbacks, and geez, I'm a little old. I've been watching them guys for a long time, and great quarterbacks like you know, of course Montana, Brady. They all could what's like check down receivers. Like they look and they could see who's open out of the 3-4 guys out there, and they fire it right away. Probably one of the best two I've ever seen is Montana, Brady, and even Terry Bradshaw when he was young. They were they the ball gets snapped, they look and they could see right away, boom, and the ball's out their hand. Those are the best quarterbacks who make those checkdowns. And he's always had issues with that. Like you'll see him drop back, and you'll always in one game you'll always see where there's 3 or 4 guys he missed that were open. And as a quarterback, that's your job, man. That's what you do for a living. Like you drop back, and there's 3 guys. You got to know which one is open and where he is. And and the best quarterbacks, they hit those guys. I think as he's getting older, he's having more and more troubles checking down those guys, and that's where all the picks are coming from.
Yeah, I agree.
And then when you get older, if you notice, the D-backs start to watch your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why there's so many picks. You see how he gets picked off by those cornerbacks coming and safeties? Because they're sliding and they're looking at his eyes, and they're like, oh, he's going right here. Boom. And these guys nowadays are so freaking fast, dude. They like the one thing about the NFL is that they keep getting faster and stronger and bigger. Like the D-backs and the safeties are just monsters. They're just these guys that are incredible, incredible athletes that are super fast and strong, and they have great vision. And I don't know. I don't know about I know their defense. I know we still got Micah Parsons.
Mm-hmm.
Our defenses should be good. I worry about our secondary. We haven't had the best corners and safeties the last few years.
Now, Eric, did you hear?
Hopefully, we could.
That the Cowboys are looking to pick up Jalen Ramsey, cornerback from the. I think
that would be great.
The Rams. I think that would help us out.
That would be great. Huh?
I said I think I would help us out big time with Jalen Ramsey, having him, and then Diggs. That would be a great trio in the secondary. But we'll see if he does
that would be. Yeah, I mean, you just got to stay positive, and you can't give up. You always got to stay a fan. Just like, I'm a Knicks fan too. The Knicks haven't won since I was 5 years old. So you got to just a fan. If you're gonna be a fan, you gotta stick to it. Talk about being a tough Knick fan, man. It's like, yeah, like I've actually in Florida, right? One time I had my Knicks shirt on, and this comes up to me, and he goes in the mall, and he goes, now that's loyalty. He's like, you guys have. He's like, you guys haven't won since '73.
Oh yeah, and you haven't made it.
I know. And then they go and I don't want to switch from the Cowboys, but they go and they fire Tibbs, the coach. I'm like, why would you fire him?
That's actually good. That's a good question. What do you think of that? Because I have mixed emotions from friends that are Knicks fans. Some say that they're good.
Your sound just went. But what I think about that firing?
Yeah, because
that was a bad call.
Really? Okay. Because I'm getting mixed emotions from my friends.
I think that was a bad move. I think you got to give him more time. You can't. I mean, this is the thing. He took you to the Eastern Conference Final for the first time in over 20 years. I mean, come on. So if you go by historic, I would have to wait till I'm like in my 80s. I'm 57. It's like I have to be like 83 years old the next time the Knicks even make the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, I hope I make it. It's like it's like crazy, It's like I think you got to give these guys a chance. I know everything is about win now, but come on, you gotta give. Tibbs is a good coach, man. He the players like playing for him. He knows his stuff. That was a big mistake.
All right, now I have a question.
I would have given.
So my question is that Not really a question, but just your understanding. If you looked at the NBA this year, right? We had massive amounts of
You cut.
firing at the
I
huh?
I didn't hear that. You cut
Okay,
off a minute. I didn't hear. What
so
was your question? Go ahead.
we had massive amounts of firings for head coaches this year. We
It
had
might be
Mike.
my internet.
It probably is. If it's cutting out,
Yeah.
because my internet's perfect over here. So
Yeah, it's probably my internet.
can you hear me though? Hello? Hello?
Yeah, my internet is freezing up. Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna pause. All right, we're back on. So Erick's just going to say some last minute things before I ask him my last question. Just understanding the landscape of just how the coaching in the NBA has been nuts. It feels like nobody can stay with a job. You have Mike Malone, who just 2 years ago won a championship with the Nuggets. He got fired. Mike Brown was the winningest coach in Sacramento history, got them to the playoffs in like 30 years. He got fired. Then you had Taylor Jenkins, the Memphis Grizzlies coach, winningest coach for Memphis. He got fired. And then now you have Thibodeau, who got the Knicks to the conference finals.
And what it is you went blank. I can't hear you on the side now. But what happens is it's a we want to win now. It's a mentality of we got to win now. Everybody wants to win the championship now, especially with basketball. You have to. The coaches and the coaches and the players have to gel, and they have to. If you ever see like a lot of successful teams, the coach has been there for a minute. Patrick Riley with the Lakers, and was it UB Brown? Like different coaches, they've had some time to be with the teams, and then they go and Erik Spoelstra, for example, with the Heat. Like Erik Spoelstra, when he first came on, people were like, "What?" And he wound up being a pretty good coach, and he still is. Like, and you gave him time to nurture with the Heat, and I think that's what they got to do. Like getting rid of Tibbs, I think was a huge mistake. The players love playing for him. He had a good rapport there going in New York. I think he would have been back to the finals again, like almost guaranteed. But why would you fire him? That's a big mistake. I sometimes it's personalities too. Sometimes it's egos. Look at the Cowboys. They, look how they fired Jimmy Johnson. That's a perfect example of of ego and ownership. Being more not being humble and saying, "Look, let's keep this guy here." I mean, as a Cowboy fan, they once asked Michael Irvin in an interview, if you had to be really honest, how many could you guys have won in the 90s? He said, we probably could have won 5 or 6 in a row. Because if they kept Jimmy, we would have won 5 in a row. Easily. He said, especially when Deion Sanders came, he said, we were so good. He goes, people couldn't get 5 yards on us. He goes, we had the best defense in the NFL for 5-6 years. He's like, of Jerry Jones, he couldn't deal with Jimmy Johnson's strong personality, and he fired him, and that was a big mistake. And he knows it's a big mistake.
Yeah, no, definitely agree with that.
There's a general. What was the general's name? I can't remember. He said the best generals say the good generals have people in their room smarter than them and better than them. You should. Because that's you're the general, but you still could learn, and you still could take direction, and you still could you want to have somebody as strong, if not stronger than you, and that's what a lot of these owners and GMs have issue with. They bring in this guy who's a dynamo, and then you say, oh well, we don't want that guy here. He's too. Oh really? But he just brought you 2 Super Bowls. Tibbs just took you somewhere you haven't been in 25 years. Okay, that's a long fucking time. That's a quarter of a century. And then you're gonna fire him? Come on, man. That's
I definly agree with that. It just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I mean, we're not talking 5 years. We're not talking 5 years, 3 years, 10 years. We're talking 2.5 decades.
Yeah, it's
You
That's
know,
crazy. That's almost as long as
and
LeBron's been in the NBA.
yeah, it's like, look, man, it's like, what do you need me to prove for you? You know, I've taken these, and you even traded guys. They even traded guys that they probably shouldn't have, and they still make it to the Eastern Finals. And that's what you're gonna do. You're gonna let the guy go? Why? Because maybe he said something to you at a luncheon or something. Man, that's the problem with these guys. It's all ego. There's so much money involved, and there's all this ego stuff. And then, you know what I mean? Sometimes you got to suck it up. So he made fun of your wife or something because, you know, it's always something stupid. They said that the argument with Jimmy Johnson and Jerry Jones was at a lunch.
Jesus
and they got into an argument at the lunch. Yeah. You ever hear the story? They had an argument at lunch. Huh?
I've never heard
this is a story. The story is that they were at a lunch somewhere in Dallas, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this is fucking turns the course of the Dallas Cowboys history. Was a freaking lunch. So they're at a lunch, right? This is a true story. They're at a lunch, and one of the other coaches or somebody sitting at a table with Jerry says, "Oh, you know, you guys, you know, Jimmy did this and Jimmy did," and he started saying about all the stuff that Jimmy has done, you know. And then Jerry says, we could have probably pulled it off without him. And somehow that got back to Jimmy. And Jimmy Johnson said, what do you mean by that? Like, you know, I got Russell Maryland over here. I got, you know, because he pretty much bought everybody over from UM and from the big trade with Herschel Walker. He pretty much cleaned out the Vikings and brought them over to the Cowboys. Russell Maryland, and he got I think Mark Stepnowski from that trade. And they said that Jimmy just went up to him and said, "Hey, you know, hey boss, you know, what's up? You know, what happened? You know, like, why would you say something?" And then they got into, I don't know the specifics, but they started going at it. And all the other coaches were like, "Whoa," you know, and then all the other coaches were like, "Holy shit." And then it got into like a big, they said at that restaurant, it got really heated. Like it got like Jerry was like, "What did you say?" And then Jimmy was like, "What did you say?" And it got into that. And then when they got back to the office,
that was
that was it. And then Jerry said, "Get rid of him." And that was it. And meanwhile, they're like college friends. I mean, you couldn't say, you know, and I think that's Jerry's fault.
I think so too. He screwed up the entire
college
thing.
Friend. That's your boy, man, from college. Just go up to him and say, "Hey, Jimmy, man, let's go get he's his friend. You can say, "Hey, look, you know, let's go grab a beer. Let's talk it over, man. We want to win 2-3 more, or want to, you know." But no, he's arrogance, his pride, and he got rid of the best coach in the NFL at the time.
Well, Eric, if you look at the landscape of the Cowboys in general, of the last 20-something, 30-something years, how many times have Jerry Jones made the wrong decision? Either with the wrong draft pick, the wrong player,
it's
the wrong quarterback, the coach.
Like Bill Parcells was there, and what is his famous thing for saying? He's like, "If you want me to cook the dinner, let me go buy the groceries." You know, you gotta let me, you know. And he wouldn't let, and him and his son, who is the director of player personnel, who I think sucks. It's his son. You know, he's not gonna fire his son, and he sucks. I mean, the guy makes terrible decisions. It's not that he sucks. It's that is being a professional football player personnel your position. If you've never put football pads on yourself, like, should you be the one telling, you know, doing all these things? So I don't know. And I don't know. I don't know if he's ever played football. I know he hasn't played at the professional level, and he's making all these decisions. You know, and then here's the thing. One thing that's interesting, even if you are whatever, dad gave you that job, right?
Mm-hmm.
After a certain amount of years, there's a thing called the emperor has no clothes. I don't know if you heard that story, but it's emperor has no clothes. Is that the story goes that there was an emperor that he would come out with no clothes, and everybody was so scared to tell him, so he would come out with no clothes. And that's a metaphor used in different things, because that's what it's like with Jerry Jones, Jerry Jones' son. It's like after 4 or 5 years, if you know you can't do it, and guys are, you know, you're picking the wrong guys, you're getting all these first round draft bust, you're making terrible trades, you're picking guys that right away get cut. Like after 3 or 4 years, whether you're the owner's son or not, you should be like, you know what? I need to hire someone else, someone else who knows football. Exactly. And that's what, if you notice, a lot of great teams, they put the hands of that kind of stuff in someone else. Those owners are like, look, my son never played professional football. I never did. I'm a billionaire. I own the team, but I'm going to find the right people to hire them. And the smart ones, they hire the old football players, like John Elway. You put him as a GM. Well, that's a great move. John Elway is going to know about football. All these old football players, you put them in those positions, because they know if a cornerback sucks, if a safety sucks, if a defensive end sucks, if an offensive tackle doesn't let anybody go by him. They know because they play football,
Yeah.
and they know what it's like. So it's like, that's the thing. And okay, you're the owner's son. Give him, okay, my dad's a billionaire. Let him run, let him try. But after 3-4 years, if you see that the boy, so it's both the son's fault for not resigning or pulling back and stepping aside and taking a position like the associate director of player personnel, you want to keep the salary from Papa back a bit and hire someone else to do it for you, that kind of thing. And then Jerry's is at fault too for not saying, hey, listen, son, we're going to try something else, okay? Because it's been 25 years and we haven't been to the dance. So let's try a different method. Let's bring somebody in from, another team or retiring, like a Dan Marino or somebody,
Yeah, no, I definitely
agree. Yeah, I'm just, that's just my opinion. I think, do I love the Cowboys? Do I think Jerry Jones is not a bad guy? But he's gotta, facts are the facts, you haven't won in 20-something years. I don't care how much money you have. You haven't won in 25 years. That's a fact. You can't run from facts. You could try to make shit up, but you can't run from facts. Exactly. You have not been there since 1996 with all your billions of dollars.
That don't mean
I'm
nothing.
an old man. I was in freaking high school last time you won, and I'm an old man. So like that's the facts, right? Like you can't beat that. Yeah, it's like, come on, man. And then what's frustrating is you got teams in our division like the Eagles. How many times have the Eagles been there?
But they seem like they just get better and better and better and better because they have an owner who knows what the hell they're doing. And Washington,
the Eagles have whipping our ass for the last like 10 years. I'm like,
look at Washington.
And then they go.
And now Washington.
Look at Washington.
So I mean, the only
Washington stepped in it with that quarterback. He's phenomenal.
Oh yeah, he's great. But the only people that we compete with now, quote unquote, is the Giants. And that's terrible because they're terrible. They're atrocious. They're not even close to us.
The Giants.
They're a whole.
My God, you have a player like Saquon, and you don't know how to use him, and then you let him go, and then he comes and whips your ass.
And then he wins the Super Bowl. But
what does that tell you about the Giants? It's like
that just shows them they're worse than we are.
They got the best running back. They got the best running back in like the last 20 years, and he just leaves them. In the next season, he's like a Hall of Fame player.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
One game he got with
Madden. He's freaking winning Super Bowl. He's an MVP.
That might hurt him. Going on the cover of Madden might hurt him.
Yeah, I know. That's the curse, the so-called curse. So we'll see what happens. But in everything that we've talked about, I appreciate you coming on. As always, taking your time.
Yeah, anytime. Anytime, Zach. I love you, man. I'll come on anytime. I love talking about sports. We could cover, anything else you like, other things too. The Yankees. I'm a Yankee fan. They look pretty good.
Yeah,
I tell you what, those Dodgers. Yeah, the Dodgers are good though. It's going to be tough. Like the Dodgers are still good again. So
yeah,
I call them the Tokyo Dodgers.
Yeah, pretty much because everybody from there is it's like
right? Because so much of their rosters from Japan, Tokyo.
yeah, it's
So, but
ridiculous.
they're good, man.
They are going to be good.
Let me tell you, I'm telling you, they came and they whipped the Yankees' ass. I mean,
Yeah, I know. It was 18-2. It was bad.
yeah, I was watching that game and I was like, holy crap!
Yeah, no. Second inning, we're down 8-0. I'm
whipping
like,
the
yep,
shit
no,
out of
I'm turning this game off. I'm done. And I never turn games off. But I've never seen my Yankees get our asses kicked like that.
they were putting up like football and basketball score up on the Yankees.
I
I was
know.
like,
I was
Yankees gonna
like,
have to call them.
I was like,
I was like, I'm gonna have to call a mercy rule.
yeah, we're gonna have to go back to middle school and call mercy rule in Little League.
All right,
But
man. Well, you froze up again on my side.
The Wi-Fi is just not working for us today. But no, I appreciate it, Eric.
All right. Well,
and I'll talk to you soon.
Is that it? We're gonna wrap it up.
Yeah, we're wrapping it up. So I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right. You take care. Right. Take care.
All right.
Have a great weekend. Have a great weekend.
All right. You too. All right. Bye-bye.
All right.